new age type coaching, and I guess maybe Craig McRae's one of the leading in that area. When did this sort of change happen, do you think, in the coaching? 15 years ago, there was really nothing like that. Maybe even 10 years ago. Was it the Hardwick 2017? Was that the beginning of the change, do you think? Or when did you see this sort of relationship built coaching method that came in at AFL
Yeah, well,
level?
that is often cited as a flashpoint, and I was going to mention actually the wonderful book Yellow and Black, written by Conrad Marshall, about
Yep.
Richmond's 2017 season, which talks about that in some detail. And that took an enormous leap of faith from Damien Hardwick himself, as well as the club, vesting their faith in him when it almost came apart at the end of 2016. I don't know. I'm just right off the top of my head. I reckon Luke Beveridge's appointment to the Western Bulldogs
Yeah.
at the end of 2014 was
Yep.
pretty pivotal. And if you remember at the time, I mean, he was a development coach at Hawthorn. So,
Yes. Yep.
we've seen a bit since then, guys being plucked from different sort of roles. I mean, Phil Walsh, tragically, we never got to see how that could have eventuated, but he'd performed different roles, fitness and game analysis and stuff. Chris Fagan was in that football managerial type background, but I could be wrong. But I think Beveridge was probably the first that was plucked from a non-assistant or other senior coaching gig to be an AFL senior coach. So that was at the end of 2014, and the
Yep.
Bulldogs were sort of going nowhere fast, really.
Yep.
And I remember at the time a lot of people saying, "Wow, this one's, gee, they're getting desperate here." And in fact, that's right. Bevo had accepted a gig at St Kilda, I think, in charge of their football department, and literally days before, and had to renege on that give
Right.
that up
Yeah.
to
Okay. I
take
didn't
this
actually.
job.
I don't remember that bit. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
But there was a lot of people sort of saying, "Well, what are you going for this guy? I mean, he's coaching pedigree. I think was it St Bede's Mentone,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I think people were saying how remarkable it was. I don't keep a close eye on the Amos, but I think he'd led them to premierships 3 years in a
I think
row
that's correct. I could probably actually Google it while we talk, but yeah, I think that was the case, wasn't it? Through different.
through the
Yep.
grades. So I
Yep.
mean, obviously that's a decent effort. And then I remember interviewing several Bulldogs players across that first season he was in charge. One of them being Lin Jong, actually. Did a quite lengthy sit down with Lin Jong, and we were talking at length about. I said, "So, well, what is it?" Because you could see the players responding, and it was about that sort of show of faith in them and that sort of focus on relationships. And I think, yeah, that might have, we're probably talking a bit under 10 years ago,
Mm.
but it's clearly been very transformative. Those examples have really sort of changed the face of coaching, where it's, the AFL senior coach now, it's sort of more that English football manager type thing where you've got, highly credentialed assistants beneath you who are actively involved, and
Yep.
your role is to, well, A, coach the coaches,
Yep.
but I think your focus becomes more, it's more sort of behavioural rather than tactical.